Well. Howdy ho. It's been a while. Welcome to the Generic Paranormal Show. I'm your host, KD, and Austin will probably be joining us. I was having some problems. I'm having problems speaking also. I was having problems getting my stuff going here. Get to this. So, just going to talk about some paranormal news. When I say paranormal, I mean could be ghosts, could be aliens. Aliens. That's the most news we see from the paranormal. It's aliens. Aliens. Hmm. Oh, hello, Russell. How art thou? Looking for my lighter. Can't find it. Guess I'll have to use this. Shit. Try that again. Can't find it. Guess I'll have to use this. Okay. When I say paranormal, I mean it could be any kind of paranormal. It could be ghosts. It could be aliens. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some alien news, in case you didn't hear about it, because nobody gives a shit. Really, it seems like I was in the act of trying to look it up, but let's see here. Yeah, so every once in a while, seems like especially the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, it seems like we have a new whistleblower in the old Congress or somewhere, and they're grilling them. But these people are always like former government officials that worked in some kind of black ops or whatever. And they always have the same amount of evidence. Well, that they're at least that they're showing us anyway, and that evidence is nothing, zero. They don't show us anything. I'm not saying I don't believe them. I'm just saying,
Good morning.
yeah, no, it's like you gotta show me something. You gotta give me something. Give me a little nugget, little bit of something. So we're just gonna skim over some of the highlights of this here. What I've been noticing, what not really they haven't really been talking about on the news because I guess election, but all that's over, man. Let's get back to the aliens. Let's get back to the weird shit. Let's get back to the Men in Black. Okay. So I'm gonna share this over.
Kept in the dark to spare the
Do. Share theater mode. Just put it on full screen. There we go. Okay. All right. So here we go. This is I forget her name. She's a Congress person.
the Pentagon a little bit of embarrassment.
I don't know my speakers. Here we go.
The reality
There we
is,
go.
despite their enormous taxpayer-funded budgets, the transparency of the Defense Department and the intelligence community have long been abysmal.
So the government, see here, according to this headline here, the government is going to tell us the truth about something, anything. Find that hard to believe.
The Pentagon has failed 6 consecutive audits. In fact, it's never actually passed one. Adding to this is a runaway overclassification of documents and materials, a reluctance to declassify materials when appropriate, and at times an outright refusal to share critical information with Congress. In short, it's not a track record that instills trust. So Congress has tried in recent years to lift the veil
This
and
video
find
is
out if
2 hours
information
long,
about
by the way.
UAPs is being withheld, not only from the American
You know what it's like to have a 2-hour conversation with somebody, and at the end of that 2-hour conversation, you get nowhere? That's kind of how I feel like after I watch one of these hearings, because these whistleblowers and people, they keep saying the same stuff, similar stuff, and I mean, they're credible people, but it's a lot of it's just so fantastic, or they can't say anything in public. So I even have a public hearing. If all you can say is stuff behind closed doors, just say go say it behind closed doors. We'll just keep it the way it always has been, and we still won't know what's going on. Those people know it when you have the private meetings, right? They get all the good stuff, all the classified stuff that Lou, uh, whatever Elizamo or whatever his name is, they get all the classified stuff that he knows, but he's not going to share it publicly. So, because he's afraid that somebody will pay him a visit. They probably would. Carry on.
public, but also from their elected representatives in Congress. Part of the transparency effort was legislation
Nancy Mace, that's her name, Nancy Mace.
created in the Pentagon, the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or ARROW, but the new office is struggling to get its footing. A recent statutorily required report from ARROW, intended to illuminate the government's historic assessment of UAPs, was heavily criticized by those seeking UAP transparency. The report has stoked suspicions ARROW is unable, or perhaps unwilling, to bring forward the truth about the government's activities concerning UAPs. I'm disturbed that ARROW itself lacks transparency. Even its budget is kept from the public. So if there is no there, then why are we spending money on it, and by how much? Why the secrecy if it's really no big deal and there's nothing there? Why hide it from the American people?
Yeah, so why hide it from the American people is one good question. Another good question is, why do we change the name from UFO to UAP? From unidentified flying object to unidentified aerial phenomenon. I mean, it's just being a little bit more vague, if you ask me. It's a more vague term to call a UFO, as if a UFO wasn't already vague enough as it is. Now we have to say it's an aerial phenomenon. So now it doesn't necessarily have to be flying. It could be floating. It could be hovering. That means it could be a balloon. It could be. This is more. I feel like this is a more of a broad net, so they could throw more things in to kind of, if you're gonna lie to somebody, right? You throw in a few bits of truth into that lie, right? And with all of your lie, so that people are more likely to believe it if they hear some bits of truth that ring true to them, if that makes sense. I use the word true a lot.
People, because I'm not a mathematician, but I can tell you that doesn't add up. I expect some
I'll tell you what don't add up: insider trading in the Senate.
our witnesses to share their views on that ARROW report. We will also hear from the witnesses today allegations of UAP-related misinformation and disinformation by government officials, of which they are personally aware and directly experience.
You know the word disinformation. Everybody's big on calling everybody conspiracy theorists and everything nowadays, but the word disinformation used to be used by. It's always been it was actually used to be used by people who, it seems to me like I heard it the most anyway, when people were describing the government, right? The government putting out disinformation to throw you off of what they were really doing, right? Like Area 51, right? Oh, it's disinformation. Oh, it was aliens, when it could have been, when in reality it was probably something else. It's probably some sort of military, or it definitely was some sort of military. They say they were working on space balloons, weather balloons, and it's possible. I'm sure they did. But they probably did other stuff too. But the point is it used to be a tactic that was, or that people claimed that the government would use to try and throw you off of their trail. Now the government and the media constantly says everybody else is the ones spreading disinformation. But it used to be the government that spread disinformation. Does anybody else remember this? Because I remember this. They would be accused of doing something, and they would, oh, look at that, slide a hand. The coin's over here. Is this your card? Anyways, I digress.
And we will hear testimony today concerning recent revelations about a purportedly secret UAP program whose existence and findings may have been improperly withheld from Congress. But before we get to the witnesses, we're going to have a few more opening statements from our colleagues. And one thing I wanted to add at the end of my closing statement is there is a document that will be entered into the congressional record today. Mr. Tim Burchett from Tennessee has this document, and we just distributed it to every member up here on the dais.
They distribute
of this document. But this is going to be the original document.
They all had a few drinks, okay, before having this hearing. It's not easy listening to people tell you things that they can't show you proof of for 2 hours. So everybody's got to have a drink. As a matter of fact, if you're at home, have a drink. This is going to be a slog. It's going to be a slog getting through this. Russell says they say they also have a plane that looks like a UFO. Sure they do. I've seen pictures of planes that they were testing in the 50s and 60s and 70s that look like UFOs. Even the the old B-1 bomber body looked like one of the triangle-shaped UFOs. So when people think, maybe that's why, maybe when people think UFO, they think flying saucer, like disc. So that's what, I don't know, maybe some people think that. Maybe that's why they wanted to rebrand UFOs to UAPs. It's a rebranding, y'all. Aliens didn't like the UFO thing, so now they're rebranding because, they're really resentful towards that little green man thing. And, to say they fly around in UFOs is so bigoted. They much prefer UAPs.
Document from the Pentagon about Immaculate Constellation that Michael Schellenberger delivered to Congress today. So thank you, Mr. Schellenberger, for this information. We are all reading it in real time now, and Mr. Burchett will enter it into the record. But 12 pages about this unacknowledged special access program that your government says does not exist.
3 weeks ago. So this was 3 weeks ago, by the way. So I haven't seen or heard barely anything about this in the news. I've been watching it, but I just noticed that nobody was really talking about this. So, nobody I watched was talking about this. So I'm going to talk about
this. With that, I would acknowledge my colleagues, Mr. Garcia. I want to say, first of all, to Mr. Connolly, who cannot be here today, the ranking member on my subcommittee on cybersecurity, I want to say that I was greatly saddened to hear about the recent news of Mr. Connolly's cancer diagnosis. And I want to convey to him and to all of our colleagues, we wish our very best to you in a full and speedy recovery. And with that, I would acknowledge Mr. Garcia for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairwoman. I want to thank the Chairwoman and the Chairman both for their continued support and really treating this this discussion and these hearings in a way that's bipartisan. I think one thing that's very important for all of us that are interested in the conversation around UAP.
So what is partisan about aliens? Are they Democrats? Are aliens Democrats? Are aliens Republicans? Are they perhaps libertarians? I don't know. Let's find out.
Is that this is an area that both Republicans and Democrats, where we may disagree in a lot of other spaces, this is an area where bipartisanship is really important.
That'd be a good one. Well, while my partners on the other side of the aisle and I may agree on things in different spaces, we all agree on the thing in space. No. Okay, I tried.
And in fact, I would add it's critical that we all continue to work together in a way that moves forward with the truth and important disclosure. So we're here to have a bipartisan and serious conversation, I believe, about our national security. We should always ground these.
Are we here to have a real discussion? Are we? Are you sure? Let's see.
Conversations in facts, evidence, and the data in front of us.
Facts.
I want to note that
evidence.
we
Well,
have
science.
our witnesses here. I want to thank you all for being here, and note that also amongst you have folks that have also served us in our military. And I know that for many of you, this has been a difficult process, but I'm very grateful.
Disclaimer, I was in the Army, never saw a UFO. I'm not saying I don't believe in UFOs. I'm just saying I never saw one. Never saw one in the Army. I was probably too busy.
To have you with us today, and thank you for joining us. I also want to note that today's hearing builds on a quite, I think, also historic public hearing that we had many months ago that Mr. Grothman and others helped lead in this very same hearing room, where I believe we began a really important public conversation about UAPs. And so I want to thank him for that, and I especially want to thank Chairwoman Mays for her continued advocacy on this topic. I also want to start with some facts. We know that there are objects or phenomena observed in our airspace, as your witnesses will testify, and also possibly in our oceans. In many cases, we don't know what they are, and this is, of course, why we're discussing UAPs. Now, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, has reported
UAPs. Well, see, that's amphibious too, right? So, whoa.
hundreds of UAPs that remain, quote, uncharacterized and
So are they all amphibious now? Is that what we're going with? Are they all amphibious? See, now that you could have used UAP for I know, because UAO doesn't really make a lot of, it's like too many vowels in an acronym, so you can't have UAO. So it's got to be UFO, UAP. You don't want too many vowels. But now, like a UAP could mean an unidentified aerial phenomenon, or it could be unidentified amphibious phenomenon, I guess.
attributed, and which, quote, appear to have demonstrated unusual flight characteristics or performance capabilities and require further analysis. This is our own AARO office. Now, we shouldn't prejudge what they might be. I'm certainly not going to. We need evidence. But what we are detecting things, and we know that we don't understand them, and this.
I'm not going to judge what they might be, but we are talking to people, and we are going to speculate wildly here, because why not? We need some attention up here on the hill. You know what I mean? We're going to talk about something that gets all the Alex Jones people going. Because we know all y'all are crazy. We know all y'all watch Alex Jones. So, we're going to do a little bit of that here in Congress ourselves. We're going to make this, as a matter of fact, it's going to be like a big Joe Rogan podcast here in Congress. We're all just going to smoke a blunt, and then we're going to like talk about stuff. It works for Joe Rogan.
This is worth investigating. Now, the American people have legitimate questions, and I believe it's critical that.
Hold on a second. I just had a thought. So, if we were to elect Joe Rogan into a congressional or House of Representatives seat, then we could get a House hearing led by Joe Rogan on UFOs, and he could be talking to all the people, man. Joe Rogan gets the best results. I'm serious.
Congress should help address them.
He lives
This
in
is
Texas,
about
right?
the
Somebody in
truth
Texas
and
needs to nominate
science
that
and facts.
Joe Rogan.
Now,
We could have
transparency
that.
and faith in our institutions is vital in a good democracy.
I want to see
Now,
that.
I'm proud to say that this hearing will build on that important bipartisan work, and I want to thank everyone for being involved,
Hey,
including
Julie.
members of our committee. Now, in our last hearing in July, we heard testimony that a significant number of pilots of major airlines have witnessed UAPs as well, but have no real confidential way of reporting them to the government.
Sure.
We heard that commercial pilots who encounter
mean,
UAPs.
How would we prove anything to the government? How would you prove anything? It's not like we all have a freaking super camera in our hand. I mean, how would pilots? I mean, you think they have phones up there? You think these people have phones? You think like commercial airline pilots have phones in the cockpit? Yes, they do. So when they see these aliens, Why don't they just, it's too easy, right? You're sitting there looking out of a window. Take a freaking picture, dude.
May be hesitant to speak openly due to stigma or fear of retaliation. We also know that Arrow has reported that, and I want to quote, that most reports still reflect a bias towards restricted military airspace, a result of reporting from military personnel and sensors present in such areas. And so the lack of ability for civilian pilots raises real safety concerns and limits our ability to understand UAPs. This is a particular piece of this conversation that I am very interested in. Now, our last hearing inspired us to introduce the Safe Airspace for Americans Act, joined by Chairman Grothman, Chairwoman Mace, and a bipartisan group of co-sponsors.
Safe Airspace for Americans Act. So we needed a freaking act for that. We needed to like make a law for that, so we could just police our airways. We had to make another law because we hadn't made laws for the air. Yeah, we have. We made laws for air. We had tons of laws. Tons of laws. We have so many laws. Let's another one. Let's I think there used to be a law. I don't know if this is true or not. I read this somewhere at one point that there was a law that if a spaceship comes and lands on your front yard in your front lawn, gets out, walks up, it says, "Take me to your leader," that you're not allowed to talk to that alien because the government told you not to. How about that for a law? Huh? What are you supposed to do when they pick you, when they abduct you and they start probing you with random foreign objects, telling you, "Oh, we were doing this for science"? Bullshit. I don't believe you, aliens.
I see some of our leaders from Safe Airspace for Americans Act here, and that.
What if this dude's an alien? This guy right here. What if he's an alien? He could be like you on the Men in Black alien. You know the one was that was the first one. Where the little cat had the little universe around his neck on the little chain on his collar. You know the one alien that they stopped. They're like, he gets shot or something. I can't remember what happens to him. But the guy's looking for the little ball. Runs into this old guy. Basically, the old guy falls as dying or whatever, and his face opens up, and there's a little tiny alien operating his face. He's like a robot. He's like driving a human robot. What if this guy? What if he's that? What if he's one of those? They're already in, man. The aliens are here.
That would create a safe reporting for UAP process, which we want to continue to do. Now, members of both parties and senior officials in multiple administrations have now taken an interest in this issue. Mainstream media, in many cases, is beginning to take more of an interest in this issue, and we should all be proud to carry that work and build confidence for the American people. I believe we can always be more transparent. To me, this hearing and others are simply about the truth and getting to the facts of what these UAPs actually are. It's very important that we show that Democrats and Republicans in Congress can work together
Mr.
to cut through
Garcia.
misinformation and look for a serious and thoughtful way to have the discussion in public. Many of us have also called for additional public hearings to discuss UAPs. This should be a topic that continues on throughout the Congress so that we can gather more information, data, and work with the relevant agencies to gather more information. Finally, just want to add that those that are here on this dais, many of us have participated also in classified briefings as well, and where we have also gained a lot of important, I think, and interesting information, at least I personally have. And so with that information, we want to continue today's hearing, and I thank all of our witnesses for being here. And with that, I'd like to yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. And I'd now like to recognize Mr. Grothman for a 5-minute introduction.
There's like, hold on a second. Here.
Thank you.
Let me go back. Just a second. Just a second here. All right. Let's count the number of representatives that we have in this is actually taking this shit seriously in here. Okay. We got one, two. I don't know what these people are. These people that are in the back, are they actually people like representatives? I don't know. But you know what? We'll throw them in. We'll say they are. How about that? We'll just say they are. but I'm pretty sure they're not. Actually, we're not going to throw them in. If you ain't got a little thing on your desk in front of you here, if you ain't got a little name plaque in front of you, you're not sitting there, and then I'm not counting you. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. We have 11 people on this what is this commission? Wow, 11. You couldn't even make it even 12. We had to go with 11. 11 people who almost give a shit.
5-minute introduction.
Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to thank our witnesses for being here one more time. This is a topic I've been interested in since 8th grade. I'd like to thank Ms. Mace for working with me on this topic and for making this a joint subcommittee hearing. Last year, the Subcommittee on National Security, the Border and Foreign Affairs held an historic hearing to understand the
This dude looks like Phil Donahue. Anybody remember Phil Donahue? This guy looks like Phil Donahue.
potential national security risk of unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs. We heard from former Navy Commander David Fravor, who shared firsthand experience with a UAP he engaged while on duty in the Pacific. We learned from David Gresh, a former member of the intelligence community, who revealed the supposed existence of secret government programs hidden from congressional oversight. Additionally, former military pilot Ryan Graves informed us of the limited ways in which the military and commercial pilots can report UAP sightings. Since that last hearings, I've led several briefings with government agencies to deepen my understanding with these issues. First, the Department of
He wanted
Defense
to deepen
Inspector
his
General's office
understanding.
informed us that the Department of Defense does not have a streamlined process for service members to report UAP activity. Since then, the Joint Chiefs have implemented standards for UAP reporting across the services. The Intelligence Community Inspector General informed us that whistleblowers often fear retaliation for reporting mismanagement of highly sensitive government projects or information. Finally, AARO has expressed to the committee that, like any other federal government agency, it's faced challenges in its establishment, specifically in hiring staff to manage UAP historical records and coordinating with other federal agencies. Well, these agencies have been helpful to us in understanding the challenges that come from collecting UAP data.
While they've been helpful in understanding that we have been lying to everybody for, I don't know, the past 100 years about these UFOs, it's still a job. They're still going through all those old saucer pictures, all those claims farmers had where aliens came and landed and ate some of their bread.
Data. None of them have been able to substantiate the claims made at this hearing last year by David Grush. Despite our committee members endlessly questioning these agencies inside and outside of a skiff, I hope our witnesses today will be able to provide evidence and content that is worthwhile.
Jesus, I hope so too, because man, this seems like, I don't know, it seems like feels like running on a treadmill. You know, you're running your ass off, but you ain't getting nowhere.
To our pursuits of eliminating government waste and increasing transparency. To help alleviate some of the roadblocks, I'm supportive of measures that were included in last year's National Defense Authorization Act to increase transparency and improve record-keeping measures.
You know what I say? I say let them shoot those fuckers down, bro. Make it a law to where if, you know, one of these jet fighters, they're patrolling the sky or whatever they do, they get scrambled. If they see this thing, they can freaking launch rockets at it. How about we give them a go ahead, give them a green light? At least we'll find out what it was from the wreckage. I mean, you don't want to say nothing. Hey, we got to find out the hard way.
When it comes to UAPs, but I believe there's still more work to go. I co-led the Safe Airspace for Americans Act with Ranking Member Garcia, which required.
Yeah, this whole UFO government, them going and talking to people in the House of Representatives, and they're having these House hearings. It does. It seems like an episode of The Walking Dead, like when you get to season 6, where it's just the same shit over and over and over again. Just like, oh, we'll just kill a couple people off. We'll add a couple new people. Oh, look, this guy, he's a bad guy. He's a good guy. He's a bad guy, but he's got a good reason to be a bad guy. It's always the same thing, same every season. It's like over and over again. That's the same way with these hearings.
Requires the Federal Aviation.
We're gonna push through this anyways. Let's go.
Administration to develop procedures to collect UAP data from civilian aviators. I look forward to working with members of Congress to see that this legislation and other UAP legislation crosses the finish line. I'm deeply alarmed by the reporting of massive.
He's deeply alarmed. That's why he's here, because he's alarmed. Okay, and you should be too.
Of the massive drone swarm that flew over Langley Air Force Base in Virginia last December. Langley is the home of the 1st Fighter Wing, which maintains half of the F-22s in the U.S. Air Force inventory. Reports of this incident indicate these drones were roughly 20 feet long, flying more than 100 miles an hour,
and they don't even know who it was.
Altitude of over 3,000 feet.
They don't know who it was.
The origin of these drones and their operators remains a mystery.
See, now that is scary to me, because what if it was just Chinese? I think it's more likely to be a foreign agent than to be aliens. I'm not saying it's not aliens, but I'm just saying some of it could be. But I think the most likely culprit here is China. It's China, because I mean, we saw their display. Okay, so like when a country develops some kind of new weapon technology, right? And then especially the crazier the country is, what do they tend to do? What do they tend to do when they get some kind of technology that there's like, oh, this is way better than anything y'all got? They show it off, bro. They show it off. They do a big display, and they're gonna show it off. They're gonna like when they first start. Okay, the nuclear bombs, atom bombs, for example. What we do when we got one? But y'all gonna fuck around and find out. We're gonna show you. Hey, look at this new thing we got. Boom. And the world was like, oh wow. But I guess with drones, it's something that people are so used to seeing is drones, right? So when you hear drone swarm, it's like whatever. But these drone swarms are ridiculously big. Now the light show they put on was kind of deceiving. It made it seem as if these drones were flying around and they were sometimes, but like when you see all the different animations going across the sky, that's not necessarily the drones themselves flying in those patterns. That's the light patterns. The lights are doing that. They're using the drones almost like an LCD screen, and each drone is a pixel, and they just flash an animation through the pixels, if that makes sense.
And other sightings near sensitive military installations highlights the complexity of the UAP challenge facing our intelligence, defense, and homeland security committees. Whether these phenomena are the result of foreign adversaries developing advanced technologies or something else entirely, we must take them seriously.
Yeah, China owns
DJI thoroughly and assess
that's like the best
their
drone
implications on national defense. The repeated UAP sightings around.
You can't even get the DJI app on the Google Play Store now. You have to download the APK for it because it's Chinese. I'm pretty sure that's why.
Sensitive military sites underscores the need for innovative defensive strategies beyond traditional measures. They also highlight the urgent need for updated policies to address emerging threats, as well as more effective interagency cooperation and intelligence sharing. However, none of this is going to be possible without transparency. For far too long, critical information about UAPs has been either classified or ignored, leaving the American public and key congressmen without clarity needed to make informed decisions. Declassifying reports and
oh Jesus, I'm gonna just skip on to where we get past all of these guys just like giving their monologue. We can get to the actual interviews here. It'd be great. We were almost there.
Hearing
Mr. Moskowitz.
The witnesses for coming forward today to share your expertise on UAPs and the need to build trust through transparency. But first, I want to
trust through transparency, y'all. I think it was Ronald Reagan said there's 9 words that you never want to hear from the government, or 9 words that you never want to hear. And it's we're the government and we're here to help. That's only 7. But there's 9 in there somewhere. But we're from the government and we're here to help is basically the thing.
mention, you might
That means it's scary. It's a lie.
be wondering why Chairman Comer has allowed me to be a ranking member today, but it's really only because our dear friend Jerry Connolly is not here. As Chairwoman Mace mentioned, he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer, and all of us on this committee know Jerry, and he's a fighter, and we're praying for him and hoping for his speedy recovery. So today's hearing marks this committee's second meeting dedicated to UAP transparency. I was pleased, as I know all of us are, on the bipartisanship.
They kind of make this. They kind of want to make this like a separate thing. Like, no. We're not talking about UFOs. We're talking about UAPs. This is different. Okay, this is UFOs. Woo, that's crazy. UAPs is like normal shit. All right, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about UFOs. That's crazy stuff. That's like the crazy hair guy on History Channel talks about UFO. We talk about UAPs.
That existed in last year's hearing, and even though we can't talk about what happens in the classified settings, the bipartisanship that has existed.
Well, son of a bitch, that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see, you weasel. Sorry I called you a weasel. I'm sure you're probably a good person, but you're in the government, man. I just have to assume you're a weasel too. And like, why are we doing this? Why can't we? I want to see they talk about transparency, yet in the same sentence they talk about classified settings and the things that go on in classified settings. Well, what the fuck goes on? I want to know that shit. Where's the members room for this? Where do I pay for my membership? I thought my membership was paid in my taxes, but like I want to know where I go to become a member for this Discord server. Okay, so I can get in and I can be in these classified meetings, please. If we could do that, Donald Trump just X'd.
In those settings with the questions members have asked. Last year's hearing was a great example of open dialogue about UAPs, and we must remain committed to sharing information with the American people.
Well, information that's not classified.
And I think you see that commitment
UFO
based on the
streaming service.
people.
Yeah, right. We could have the UFO chat. No, Brian, it's not the UFO stream. This is the UAP streaming service, my friend. Okay, there's a difference. UFOs, crazy. UAPs, normal. We have a government commission for it. We have a House commission for it. So this is normal. UFOs crazy. Okay.
Here and the commitment across the political spectrum. I personally have worked with multiple members of this committee, but I want to particularly thank Congressman Burchett, Mace, Luna, and Garcia for working on bipartisan pieces of legislation. In recent years, Congress has taken numerous bipartisan steps towards greater transparency. In 2022, in the NDAA, we created the all-domain.
Again, why keep using the bipartisan thing? Who cares? We're talking about freaking aliens, dude. We're not talking about like the differences between, I don't know, tax theories or whatever. We're not talking about differences between Democrats and Republicans or libertarians. We're talking about aliens, bro. Aliens. They probably left all that shit behind a long time ago on their planet. They're like, shit, we get here, we got to deal with politics now again. Yep.
Anomaly Resolution Office to investigate unidentified flying objects.
Yeah, Brian. UAP, bud.
Arrow, along with ODNI, released an unclassified report on UAP sightings. Of the 366 sightings included in the report, 171 remain uncharacterized, with some of these appearing to have demonstrated unusual flight characteristics or performance capabilities. That's a nice way of saying we don't want to tell you what they are. In March, Arrow revealed a report on the historical record of U.S. government involvement.
I kind of feel like that's what they're telling me right now. It's like he just said it. He said the quiet part out loud. He just said it. There you go. We don't want to tell you what they are. No, but that's what they're telling us. Well, they tell us the same thing. Oh, well, they make all these different aerial maneuvers that, so that's just a fancy way of them telling us we don't want to tell you what they are. Come on, bro. You don't want to tell us what they are. Mr. Moskowitz.
With UAPs, which covered investigatory efforts going back from 1945 to the present day. Earlier this year, I joined Congressman Burchett to introduce the UAP Transparency Act, which would require the declassification of all documents related to UAPs with many other members of this committee. In fiscal year 2024, the NDA required the National
Just
Archives
facts,
and the
bro.
Records Administration to establish the unidentified anonymous phenomena records collection. This collection will include digital copies of all unidentified UAP records that can be publicly disclosed. This committee
This contains the facts of all publicly or all UAP records that can be disclosed. There's a lot of caveats here. Every time they talk, there's caveats. There's but this or well, with also this. It's like well, we want to see all of your records that can be disclosed. Come on, bro. Let's just see it all. Let's see it all. Let's see it all. Why not? Shit, they won't give us the good shit to look at. We can't see the Epstein Island list of people. We can't see the Diddy list. All right, we don't know about Diddy's list. We don't know about Epstein. Okay, well, UAPs are these aliens? Did they go to Diddy parties? That's my question. That's my next question. I'm sorry. Were aliens present at these Diddy parties? Because if so, did they bring all that fucking oil? That's a lot of oil. Just saying. I don't know maybe that's what they power their spaceships on. Did you ever think about that? Did you ever think about aliens use Diddy oil to power their spaceships? Bet you didn't consider that. It's just as credible.
commitment is in transparency is vitally important, and unnecessary overclassification has led to a void of information.
A void of information. It's almost like we don't know what the fuck's going on.
Which has allowed theories over the decades to foster. When the American people and members of Congress ask, are reports of
bro.
UAPs critical?
Hey, Diddy Island ain't even on Earth, bro. Diddy Island's in outer space, dog. You got to go. One of those. What is it? Andromeda Galaxy or whatever. You got to go out there. Okay. You got to go to Alpha Centauri. That's where all the Diddy party. That's where the good shit happens. All right. There's Planet Diddy's out there. Okay.
Credible. We're
Planet
met with
Diddy.
stonewalling. We're met with responses of I can't tell you. And in fact, we're met with people not wanting us to have hearings.
What?
We're met with people not wanting us to ask you questions.
What?
In fact, many of us were told not to ask some of you certain questions on certain topics.
Who told you that, Mr. Moskowitz? Who told you not to ask us or ask them questions? You give us names, sir. Be transparent.
In a time of heightened distrust of our government
that's an
institutions, I
understatement.
believe more transparency is not only needed, but is possible. And obviously, we can respect national security limits, but we also have to provide our constituents with the information.
Brian, are you suggesting that Diddy oil is the key to intergalactic travel? Is that what are you saying that Diddy oil actually kind of lubes up the time space in front of the spaceship so that we're able to just slip through it? Dude, that's mind blowing, dude. That's crazy. So crazy it could be true.
And oversight that they have tasked us for. As part of this, government agencies must maintain open lines of communication with members.
Great, thanks, Brian. Now I'm imagining like on the front of their little spaceship, like they have a saucer. Actually, I guess it'd have to go out the top because it just spin around and Diddy oil would be everywhere. So they got like a little cannon that pops up at the top and just starts spraying Diddy oil on the front of the UFO. Oh, I'm sorry, the UAP on the front of it. Sorry. So Diddy oil lubes up the UAP real good, so it could just slip right. They just slip right into wherever they want, and they make sure they get pictures
Of Congress. And there are regular questions that Americans have. What are UAPs? Are they real? Are they ours?
Son of a bitch, are we still here? We're 18 minutes into this, and we don't even know. We haven't answered one question.
How
This has all been
how is this technology?
House of Representatives just talking, just telling us how they feel about it. How do you feel about, what do you remember? What's your fondest memory of aliens?
Technology been developed. How do they get
Shit. So Diddy stole, hold on. So Diddy stole the rest of their space lube. We'll call it space lube. So Diddy stole the rest of the alien space lube. He invited them to a party. He got them trashed, right? Slipped some shit in their drink. He pulled a Diddy on them. And they stole all their space lube off of their UAP and then put Diddy labels on it or something. I don't know. Probably. Damn. We need to analyze that lube. I know it supposedly has been analyzed and it has some shit in it, but I think there might be some non-earth elements inside of that lube. I think we should check for that. If you didn't check for it, then that's why you didn't see it.
funded, right?
Diddy
And now
UAP
we've
oil.
seen this has gone from a long time ago where you could discredit people because it's some guy living in a Winnebago. You're able to see people.
You hear that? You fucking Winnebago livers out there? You fucking people living in your fucking Winnebagos. Who do you think you are anyway? You think you're credible? Think you're credible? Well, this guy doesn't think so. You can't just live in Winnebago and come into the House of Representatives and talk about UAPs and Diddy oil. Who do you think you are? Okay, you march right back to your Winnebago, mister, and you do Winnebago stuff.
Now, these are pilots, these are military, these are folks with serious backgrounds.
Maybe you need a thicker coat and a Diddy oil on your Winnebago.
This has changed the face of this because now we have video. People will have questions. We know there are advanced technology programs. Almost 15 years ago, one of those came out of Area 51.
See, here's my problem. He's like, oh, we know they're advanced technology programs. Well, yeah, you know, because y'all fund it. They literally sign the checks every year. These people, these individuals, I got to point this way. These individuals make sure that these companies get the money, right? For advanced technology. So you mean to tell me they don't know anything? It's like, oh, we're going to give you money, but don't tell us what you're doing. It's got to be a surprise. I like surprises. That's like when you give your kids money to get you a Christmas present, and then they want to tell you what they got you, and you're like, don't fucking tell me. I like surprises.
To go after Osama bin Laden. And the only reason we know about that is because one of those helicopters was downed.
Oh, shit.
Americans have questions about whistleblowers who have come forward to talk about retribution. And so I want to thank everyone for being involved today on trying to get more transparency. This has been bipartisan, bicameral. And as we get into a new administration, the president-elect has talked about opportunity.
Did y'all know there's two different types of camels out there? Did you know that? I didn't know that. There's two different types of camels. You have a dromedary, and then you have a camel, right? That's two different types. You know, one has one hump, one has two humps. I knew that. I didn't know. I thought maybe some were born with two humps. No. A camel has two humps. A dromedary has one hump. A camel actually lives in colder climates and has longer fur. A camel or a dromedary has shorter fur and lives in more desert regions. So there you go.
Opportunities to declassify information on UAPs, and I hope he lives up.
I know nobody even said camel, but bicameral to me sounded like camel, and it made me think about that.
To that promise. And with that, I yield back.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moskowitz. And I would now, committee staff asked me to go ahead and I will do it, to enter into the congressional record this 12-page document that Michael Schellenberger brought to.
How often do these guys that are like in how often
to that promise? And with that, I yield back.
do the guys like down here to these guys right here, how often do these dudes like just pass the fuck out? Because it's so fucking boring. Like, these memes are just terrible slogs, man. And these people are, look, this dude down here, he's just like, this guy may be asleep. This dude right here may be asleep. This guy's filming this chick. This dude is filming this guy. This guy's taking a picture of that dude. And that dude is most likely asleep also. I don't know what this guy's doing.
Thank you, Mr. Moskowitz. And I would now, committee staff asked me to go ahead and I will do it to enter into the congressional record this 12-page document that Michael Schellenberger brought today that describes the Immaculate Constellation government program. So we will do that now. Every member up here has a copy of it. The first section talks about the unacknowledged special access program called Immaculate Constellation. And the second section about USG imagery.
Immaculate Constellation. It's almost like Immaculate Conception, isn't it? Immaculate Conception. What is that? That's when a woman is impregnated by a non-earthly father. I do believe something like that. Like Jesus. Are UAPs Jesus?
Intelligence, and Representative Luna just told me if I say Immaculate Constellation,
Dude, that's more than a 3 energy drink here, and that's a 2 meth pipe hearing right there, bro. Like, you have to pick up meth to sit in front of this thing, because these dudes right here are gangsters to not fall asleep to this shit.
I'll be on some list, maybe a FISA warrant. So come at me, bro, I guess. But
Nancy, you on several lists,
without
girl.
objection, entered in the record. All right. So next we will introduce our witnesses for today's hearing.
Oh, shit.
Thank you so much for being here. Our first witness is retired Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, who retired from the U.S. Navy and is now the Chief Executive Officer at Ocean STL Consulting. Our second witness is Mr. Lou Elizondo, a former Department of Defense official and author of a recent bestseller book about UAP.
This guy looks like, Lou Elizondo looks like right here, he's either constipated or he's trying to figure out a math problem.
Our third witness is Mr. Michael Schellenberger, founder of the.
Or he's disappointed in the half an hour monologue that the dudes gave before this.
Newsletter Public, and author of a recent journalistic piece about special access programs, including one widely identified as Immaculate Constellation. I swear the staff wants me on a list. Okay. And our last witness today is Mr. Michael.
Nancy, there's probably a lot of people in Washington that want you on a list. I'm not one of them. I think I like Nancy, but yeah, not one of the most popular people. He looks like Newman from something.
Old, a former NASA official who was also a member of the NASA
he's got to go, man.
Study team. Welcome, everyone. We are pleased to have you today. Pursuant to Committee Rule 9G, the witnesses will please stand and raise your right hands. This is where it gets real.
This is where it gets real, y'all.
Do you solemnly swear to affirm that the testimony that you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Let the record show that
they're all like, we don't believe in God. There's aliens, boy.
The witnesses.
I'm just kidding. They probably do. Well, probably half of them believe in God.
It's all answered in the affirmative. We appreciate all of you being here today and look forward to your testimony. Let me remind the witnesses that we have read your written statements and they will appear in full in the hearing record. You guys may be seated. Please limit your oral statements to 5 minutes. As a reminder, please press the button in front of you so the microphone is turned on so that everyone in the room, members included, can hear you. When you begin to speak, the light in front of you will turn green. After 4 minutes, the light will turn yellow. When the red light comes on, your 5 minutes has expired, and we would ask that you please wrap it up. So I will first recognize Rear Admiral Gallaudet to please begin.
So ever since that one dude had to go, they're like, who? Right. Ever since that one dude had to go, what was it, Merrick Garland, had to go testify before the House, right? They had that House hearing, and they subpoenaed him, and I believe he didn't go, or he lied. I want to say he didn't go. So it doesn't matter. Apparently, they could just subpoena you, like the House could just subpoena you and say, hey, come to court, and you just be like, nah, I'm not feeling it. think Hunter Biden did the same thing. He just didn't go to. So like, who cares? Who cares if it's what authority do they have? They don't really. What are, these hearings are just public. They're supposed to be like petting the public. See, look, we're doing what you want us to do. Look at how we're doing. Aren't we doing good? We're doing exactly what you want us to do. But our hands are tied, so we can only do so much. But see, we're trying. That's kind of what this is. You know.
And your opening remarks.
Thank you, Chairwoman Mace, Chairman Grothman, Ranking Members Connolly and Garcia, and members of the committee. Thank you for this opportunity to testify today regarding unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP. Confirmation that UAPs are real came to me in January of 2015 when I was serving as the commander of the Navy Meteorology and Oceanography Command. At the time,
I don't
my
always
personnel
go
were
to house hearings, but when I do, I wear sweatpants.
participating in a pre-deployment naval exercise off the U.S. East Coast. It included the USS Theodore Roosevelt carrier strike.
See, this is like one of those thumb hoodies too, or like he's got like a long sleeve thumb shirt. We had those in the Army. We called them ninja silk suits. Part of your extreme cold weather gear. So that was your first layer. And it had a little thumb hole right there. You put your thumb through there, and it's like you're like a ninja. Like, he has a little ninja suit on there.
Group. And this exercise was overseen by
That a wife beater over a ninja's. I don't know what's going on with this dude. Why am I'm so bored. I'm picking on the people and how they're dressed in the background. That's terrible.
the United States Fleet Forces Command, led by a 4-star admiral who at the time was also my superior officer. During this exercise, I received an email on Navy's secure network from the operations officer of U.S. Fleet Forces Command. The email was addressed to all the subordinate commanders, and the subject line read in all capital letters, "Urgent Safety of Flight Issue." The text of the email was brief but alarming, with words to the effect, "If any of you know what these are, tell me ASAP. We are having multiple near mid-air collisions, and if we do not resolve this soon, we are going to have to shut down."
That is not what you want to hear from a 4-star general, you know? Like, hey, we're seeing these things flying around. We're scared. Like, what do we do? If you got a 4-star general telling you that, one of two things. He either needs to be fired, or B, he's legit and there's a serious concern there. And it could be either, because I've seen some of the generals that look at Millie. So God knows, right? You can't just say, oh, he's a 4-star general. That may have at one point given that person credibility, but now, thanks to some of these generals we've seen go through, that credibility, that free credibility card for being a general is, in my book, non-existent.
On the exercise. Attached to the email is what is now known as the Go Fast video, captured on the forward-looking infrared sensor of one of the Navy F-A-18 aircraft participating in the exercise. The now declassified video showed an unidentified object exhibiting flight and structural characteristics unlike anything in our arsenal. The implication of the email was clear. The author was asking whether any of the recipients were aware of classified technology demonstrations that could explain these objects. Because the DoD policy is to rigorously deconflict such demonstrations with live exercises, I was confident this was not the case. The very next day, that email disappeared from my account and those of the other recipients without explanation.
That sounds like
Moreover,
boomer
the commander of Fleet Forces Command and the operations officer
definitely some boomer shit. Like, oh, I don't know what happened to the email. It's just gone. Everybody's gone from everybody's.
Never discussed the subject.
I mean, I taught like the government isn't evil and conniving, but they are. So I mean, it's very easy to believe that they somehow deleted their emails from their account.
Even during weekly meetings specifically designed to address issues affecting exercises like the one in which the Theodore Roosevelt Strike Group was participating. This lack of follow-up was very concerning to me. As the Navy's chief meteorologist at the time, I was responsible for reducing safety of flight risks. Yet it appeared to me that no one at the flag officer level was addressing the safety risk posed by UAPs. Instead, pilots were left to mitigate these threats on their own without guidance or support. I concluded that the UAP information must have been classified.
So is that like, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around if there are credible things flying around in the sky and the military doesn't know what to do. It was one thing when the military just denied their existence, right? It was like none of that's ever happening. That's easier for me to digest than saying, "Oh, what's up with the UFOs or the UAPs?" Well, they're up there. We just don't know who they are, and we don't know why they're here or why they're buzzing our shit, our crafts, or planes or whatever. We don't know why they're doing any of the stuff we're doing. That's much more concerning than just somebody who don't know anything. But it's kind of like they're trying to reel you in. They give you a little bit, and they try to reel you in.
Classified within a special access program managed by an intelligence agency. That is a compartmented program that even senior officials, including myself, were not read into. Last year's UAP hearing before this oversight committee confirmed that UAP-related information is being withheld from senior officials and members of Congress. And just this week, I learned from former DOD official Chris Mellon that satellite imagery of UAP from a few years ago still has not been shared with Congress.
He's like, and did you all know that we still don't know if there was a second gunman on the grassy knoll? Like, no shit, dude. There's so many things that the government hides from us. Even if you work in the government, it's very compartmentalized, right? So the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing.
Equally concerning, last year's UAP hearing also revealed that elements of the government are engaged in a disinformation campaign to include personal attacks designed to discredit UAP whistleblowers.
Disinformation campaign.
Having never signed a non-disclosure agreement regarding UAPs, and now as a private citizen, I've become an advocate for greater UAP transparency from the government.
This whole disinformation this word is getting to be very popular. I mean, it has been very popular, but now everybody's like slinging it around. It's like, oh, it's disinformation. No, you're disinformation. You're disinformation. Disinformationists. Did you know aliens are disinformation? Did you know aliens spread disinformation? They don't want you to know they're aliens. They don't want you to know that we know that you know they're aliens.
The continued overclassification surrounding UAPs has not only hindered our ability to effectively address these phenomena, but has also eroded trust in our institutions. While I applaud previous bipartisan
and the bad luck. You mean the government has? You mean there's eroded trust? The trust is eroding in the government. How could trust in the government erode? How? That's appalling, un-American to not trust. Oh, wait a second. It's completely American to not trust the government.
Legislation passed by Congress concerning UAPs, a more comprehensive approach is needed to address the broader implication of UAP on public safety and national security, as well as the socioeconomic opportunities that open UAP research could unlock. Therefore, I recommend Congress take the following action.
Did he just say socioeconomic opportunities that researching UAPs could unlock? Now, what might you mean by that, sir? Do you mean Merca? Do you mean reverse engineering to make, I don't know, cell phones and shit like that? Because that seems like, very plausible that would be a thing. We find the aliens and then we take their craft. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna reverse engineer their spaceships and we're gonna make a special toaster out of them and sell it to everybody. We're gonna find a way to monetize this shit. Okay, we're gonna monetize these aliens. All right, you're not just gonna skate in here. We're gonna make content out of your ass. We're gonna put your ass on fucking YouTube. Okay, we're gonna make you sit in front of we're gonna make you play video games. How about that on Twitch with your boobs out, with your boobs half hanging out? So aliens, you're not coming here in your UAPs without putting out a little. That's all I'm saying. You got to contribute.
Which I believe will receive bipartisan support. First, establish robust oversight of the executive branch's management of UAP information by directing key officials, beginning with the director of the DoD's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, to provide comprehensive briefings on what the government knows about UAP and does not know. 2, enact the provisions of the
ADA.
UAP Disclosure Act that establish a UAP records
Ooh,
review
alien
board
OnlyFans.
to ensure
Yeah.
independent oversight, transparency, and accountability in the government's.
I'm pretty sure there's aliens already on OnlyFans, but you don't know they're aliens. But they even look like it. But it's like right in your face. It's like one of those. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Handling of UAP information. And 3, strengthen the UAP Disclosure Act and future reauthorizations with provisions that mandate a whole of government approach to addressing UAP. In closing, I will share my personal reasons for speaking out on this topic.
Well, this new approach is certainly exciting. I feel like the new approach is having government hearings, like House hearings on, and it's like, oh, this is our new approach. This is a new approach to. Is it? This new approach is maybe worse than the last approach.
First, as a former science agency leader, having led the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, I've always sought the truth in human knowledge and
He's
thought.
gonna say it out every
Now that
time.
we
He
know
doesn't. He can't
UAP
just
are
say
interacting
Noah.
with humanity, and these include unidentified submerged objects in the ocean, we should not turn a blind eye, but instead boldly face this new reality and learn from it.
Now, hang on a second. USOs. That's okay. So USO is an unidentified submerged or submersible object. That would tell me that it's flies and it goes underwater. So that means it's amphibious. Or does that mean amphibious? Because land and water is amphibious. What about air and water? Is that amphibious? It seems amphibious. But maybe not. I might be wrong.
Additionally, at a time when leaders in government leave much to be desired, I feel obligated to show moral leadership on this issue of UAP disclosure by validating the credibility of the courageous men and women who have come out as witnesses and whistleblowers to expose the truth. My speaking out has encouraged others to do the same, and it's my hope over time that a number of your constituents will want to know the truth and about UAP, and this number will increase to such an extent that the congressional action I've just recommended will become inevitable.
I doubt it.
Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. I will now recognize Mr. Elizondo for his opening statement.
Lou Elizondo, let's hear it.
Greetings, Chairwoman Mace, Chairman Grothman, Ranking Members
Now,
Connell.
we've only gotten through about 27 minutes of slog, and that's partially because I'm commentating on it as we go. I might pick this up on the next episode and just do the rest of it.
And Garcia, and members of the committee. It is my honor and privilege to testify before you on the issue of unidentified anomalous phenomenon, formerly known as UFOs. On behalf of our brave men and women in uniform and across the intelligence community.
Shit, he just pulled it. Did the aliens pull a Prince on us, bro? They're like, nah, bro, we're not UFOs anymore. We're this symbol now. From now on, you will say this symbol, formerly known as unidentified flying objects. Well, thank you, Brian.
As well as my fellow Americans who have awaited this day, thank you for your leadership on this important matter.
Oh, yeah.
Let me be clear.
They're leading.
UAP are real. Advanced technologies
They're real,
not
y'all.
made by our government or any other government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe. Furthermore, the U.S. is in possession of UAP technologies, as are some of our adversaries. I believe we are in the midst of a multi-decade secretive arms race, one funded by misallocated taxpayer dollars and hidden from our elected representatives and oversight bodies. For many years, I was entrusted with protecting some of our nation's most sensitive programs. In my last position, I managed a special access program on behalf of the White House and the National Security Council.
Oh, he worked for the White
As
House.
such, I appreciate the
That
need
means
to
he's
protect certain
definitely
sensitive
trustworthy.
intelligence and military information. I consider my oath to protect secrets as sacred, and I will always put the safety of the American people first.
I consider my oaths sacred. I consider all my oaths sacred, and all the promises I made to not talk about anything I've seen. All this is sacred. Now let me tell you all about UFOs.
I also understand the consequences of excessive secrecy and stovepiping. Nowhere was this more apparent
Is this
than in the
gaslighting
aftermath
or
of 9/11,
stovepiping?
which many of us remember all too well. I
And
believe
9/11.
that America's greatness
Shit,
depends
we're
on
hitting
three
all
elements. A watchful Congress, B, a responsive executive branch, and C, an informed public. Over the last decade and a half, I learned that certain UAP programs were and are operating without any of these elements. Although much of my government work on the UAP subject still remains
Burn, I
classified,
guess.
excessive secrecy has led to grave misdeeds against loyal civil servants, military personnel, and the public, all to hide the fact that we are not alone in the cosmos.
We're not alone,
A
y'all. They
small
want to
cadre
hide it.
within our own
They want to hide it. Lou Elizondo wants to bring us truth, but they won't let him. Okay, so we will pick this up on the next episode of the Generic Paranormal Show, whenever that may be. It may be next Thursday. It may be a month from now. I don't really know, but I'll try to do it next Thursday, and y'all try to tune in and watch. But we're going to continue with this epic, just exciting House hearing on exposing the truth about UFOs and UAPs. Because man, this is some real dog and pony show right here. This is like, hey, y'all, look at what we're doing over here. Look, we're really interested in this thing. Hey, yeah, y'all keep doing that other thing y'all doing over there. Shut the fuck up. Don't say anything out loud. But yeah, anyway, so this has been Katie Stafford, your host here, the Generic Paranormal. Jesus Christ, your host of the Generic Paranormal Show. And y'all have a good night, and we'll see y'all next time.